Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining me this morning on this beautiful Pacific Northwest day. um, you know, I really had to have a lot of, I was like deciding what I wanted to talk about today because here in the Northwest, we are so super hot, more than normal, and we've been breaking records like crazy. And it's like, I live in the Pacific Northwest because it usually stays pretty cool, and I like the cool. I don't like the sun, and no, I don't like it really cold. I like the in between. I'm the 70s girl. So getting into the 90s, almost to 100, to where we are, it's like, nah. I look every day at Mount Rainier and look at that snow, and it's like, oh, that looks so good. But our mountain is, the snow is disappearing off that mountain really super fast. And so we still have some super cold rivers and tributaries around here, like because of the snow melt off and because that's where a lot of our waters come from. But every day it's like, oh, I wish it was just rain. I've heard that in the south there is rain and your guys are green. So that's not fair. I went back up here. Anyway, thank you for joining me. I'm Diana Hinkle with This is my continuing education about using essential oils and other modalities for your health and wellness. Sometimes it takes someone to say something before you go, the light bulb goes off up here, right? I know that's happened to me so many different times because it's like, wait, you can what? And that does what? So you can read a lot of things in a book. So we have plenty of tools out there to help us understand what essential oils are. Be very careful, be very mindful of what the essential oils are that you're getting off of the shelf somewhere. Always make sure that you read the label, because a lot of times you're not getting exactly what you think you're getting. So that's a very important part. A little bit about me is I actually ended my 30-year career plus of being in the dental field and actually joined doTERRA as a journey and a business. But I'll tell you, I didn't want to do this as a business right off the bat because I really didn't know much about essential oils. And for me, it was like, I don't want to do this as a business. You know, I'm used to the corporate world. You go to work, you get a paycheck, and you come home. And you can leave everything else behind, right? You don't have to think about it again. But when I really discovered how and why and what essential oils were, it was like, people need to know. That education is important to us because education is the knowledge that we need, right? And if we don't have the knowledge, how are you going to know anything, right? If nobody teaches you, how will you know? No different than going to school. You know, we all get taught. No matter what we do in life, we have to be taught that. We read it from a book, somebody has told us, we've mimicked somebody else. Oh, we saw somebody do that. A recipe, same thing. Okay, do you look at a recipe and follow it word by word, or are you one of those that can kind of change it up a little bit? But there's still certain parts of that recipe you have to have, or it's not the same, right? No matter what you do, the recipe's not the same. But in life, everybody teaches you something. So think about that as you go into a journey with doTERRA or essential oils, because it's a lifestyle change. Excuse me, I have a frog in my throat this morning. Don't know where that has come from, but I think it's all the dry air we have. So stay hydrated, my friends. If you're here in the Pacific Northwest or California or any place that is super hot right now, I really pray for those that are in California and other places that are just burning out of control. So many people have lost their homes and everything that they own, and I really feel that would be devastating to me. You know, you think about it, if you lost everything overnight, I mean everything, where would you be? really, where would you be? You would have nothing. If you had absolutely nothing, no clothes, no food, no water, no shelter, no nothing, but your life is important, okay? And your family's life is important, right? But really think about that. So that's where I decided that let's think about that 101 remedies that you can have in your pocket, okay? In case of something devastating happening. Now, of course, there are certain things you want to be prepared for, but are you really prepared? You know, they tell us to be prepared for earthquakes all the time, but do they prepare you for fire? Do you prepare for life's disasters? Any possible disaster, even if it's flooding, even if you don't think that flooding will ever happen in your area, would you be prepared for that, even if it did happen? Would you be prepared? And so many of these people even lost their lives even when they were told to evacuate, because they were like, no, it won't happen to me. I'm just going to stick it out. And that's sad. And when you're told, when we have authorities tell us that we need to get out of our homes, take the most valuable. Possessions can be replaced, okay? A home can be replaced. You can't be, right? Your family cannot be. Pictures can't be replaced either. And which is, you know, most people are going to think about taking their photos. That might be important if you have the time to get out. But if you don't have the time to get out, what's the most important thing to you? Okay, that's something you got to think about. What's the most important thing? Are you prepared to just grab something and go? So I wanted to share with you what I feel is important as a kind of like it's not just 101 remedies in your pocket. It's more of an emergency kit too. And you can have more than one. You can have a whole bunch of them. And each one can be specific for specific things, you know, even if it's just for a few days, you know, 2 or 3 days, because typically you're going to get help from someone somewhere, right? And so we have what we call these little keychains. I'll show you this, okay? And it opens up like this. And it has these little pockets. Like, can you see that little pocket with my finger in there? Okay. And they hold little drams, okay? This is a 5/8 dram, and this is a quarter. You see the size difference? There, I'll put it where you can see the size difference, okay? So this is really good if you're actually just wanting a little bit of something, or maybe you want to take something around that you can sample for people. Now, typically, if we are really wanting something where we can sample and letting people have a sample, 10 to 12 drops. That's all it needs to be in here. And this happens to be lavender, by the way. And then you have a 5/8, which is really good. Now, this isn't all the way full, but you can fill these up. And these hold about 20 to 25 drops, depending on the oil, because some oils are thicker than others, right? And so those are really good. You know, when you think about 20 to 25 drops, that's a lot of oil, especially if it's potent, and especially if it's doTERRA, because doTERRA is very potent, and so 1 to 2 drops is usually sufficient for anything that we're doing, okay? Unless you're making a recipe, like in a roller bottle or a spray bottle, anything like that. Recipe is different, because then you're volume, okay? And you're mixing it with either coconut oil or water or something like that. And so what would you want in your keychain, okay? And by the way, you can also get little pouches like this, and you can buy these online. You can go to Aroma Tools, you can go to Oil Life, you can go to EO Tools. There's all kinds of places you can buy things for essential oils, or just Google search it. So we have, like I said, we have a lot of tools. We have our books, but we also have search engine online. But there's also these are really super cute, and they hold, I don't know if you can see this or not, but there's the band right there, okay? And they hold 6, okay? These will hold your 15 ml bottles. They won't hold the real tall 10 ml roller bottles, but they will hold your bigger bottles very easily. And there's other ones too that you can get that are bigger than this, that hold different sizes. So if you didn't want your little keychain like this, then you could get something bigger. I like these for a reason, because these are convenient. These are small. They fit in a purse. You can clip it on a belt loop. For us that are into the equine world, or we're hiking, we can take these into the hills with us really super simple, because they clip onto something. And so you have things that you would need on an emergency basis, right? And that's kind of what we're talking about, is what do you have on emergency? What would you want in that? Okay, what do you feel would be your emergency? Well, when I say 101 remedies, is because literally you can put 8 different bottles in here and have that many remedies out of 8, okay? There are other ways to do this too. But let's think about what we would want in there. Now, I have something that, I have like 10 different essential oils that I would recommend or suggest, okay? You might decide something different, because you might have, let's say, complete disaster and you cannot get to the pharmacy and you need something. You need medication. I know that's going to be the first thing that you're going to try to get, right, is your medication. But what if you can't go replace it? What if you didn't have time? Okay, what can you use in place of medication temporarily? Okay, that's on a temporary thing. That this doesn't mean that you're going to have something that's going to be completely replacing your any kind of medication. I'm just suggesting that you can have something that may help you until you do get the medication that you need and the help that you need, right? Because that has happened, and it does happen to people. And so what can you use on a temporary basis so that you don't become something different? Okay, so first off, Aroma Touch. Aroma Touch happens to be a blend, and it has peppermint in there, it has eucalyptus in there. It's a really good blend, and it's a massage blend, but it's also good for those aching muscles, tension. If it's a horse, it's good for lactic acid, you know, so you can actually use that in place of like absorbing junior. So that's one thing. It goes a long ways. And when you start looking into each essential oil itself, look at what it can do and decide if that's the one that you want to take with me. What are all the different things it can do? Now, these are just a few of the things that they can do, not everything. And then what about respiratory support? When we have poor air quality, like right now, California, Washington, Oregon, we have very poor quality air, okay? What is that doing to your body? Some of us, we have a hard time breathing, especially if you're someone that is asthmatic or have any kind of breathing issues already. That's just compromising it even more. So doTERRA has a blend called Breathe, and it's another one it smells wonderful. It's good for those of you who do have those respiratory issues, so that you can help in that your lungs, so that they first off, you want to help them stay clear as possible, and that's a really super easy one to use. So Breathe in itself, if you have the Breathe, let me show you what you can do. Now, this is not Breathe, but you would literally take the lid off, okay, and you would put it underneath and then inhale it through the mouth or the nose. You can just, but you got to take some deep breaths. Okay, this happens to be bergamot. I love this for many different reasons. It's very calming. It's great for horses if they're colicky. But the other thing about this is you can put a little bit in the palm of your hand. So now we're talking about breathe. And then you would take the one hand that you don't have the oil in, cup it over this one like this, okay? And then breathe it in. It's going to get down into the lungs, okay, and help open up those airways. All right. So that's also helpful if you have any like bronchitis, anything like that, or if you're on inhalers, that can be an option. If you don't get to an inhaler right away, it can help you. Even coughing, sometimes you might go into more of a coughing fit first because you're initially opening up those lungs, but then you can go, it will go away, okay? So what else? What are some of the things that you would, so let's think about water. If you can't get to clean water, what do you do to get clean water? You can't just drink it, right? If you're not sure about it. You can have lemon. Lemon is really good to help clean up your water. It's a disinfectant. That's why we have so many products, over-the-counter products for cleaning up your home, or or dusting your furniture. It has lemon in it, right? It's a disinfectant. But those are synthetic chemicals. They're not the true thing. So lemon is a disinfectant, and it's also a purifier. And most of us don't mind the taste of lemon because lemon is consumable, so it meets the GRAS standard, which is generally regarded as safe. Now, not every essential oil can be consumed, so you really have to read the label. When it comes to doTERRA, doTERRA is the integrity of doTERRA is that everything in the bottle is what it says it is. Everything, okay? It's not another essential oil that mimics it. It's not a synthetic reproduction, and it's not chemically extracted. There's all these different things that go into creating a potent, pure essential oil. Even your distillation, your product matter, all make a difference when it comes to essential oils, okay? So please do your research, because typically what you get on the shelf at like Hobby Lobby or JCPenney or Macy's is carrying it. Other stores that are carrying, even your good stores, those products sometimes aren't what they really seem to be. So just do your research. I love the fact that doTERRA is very open about that, and they will tell you where every essential oil comes from. That's why we have a batch number on the bottom of a bottle, and you can actually trace that, and it will let you know when it was bottled and where it came from, what country it came from, who was the distillation process. It tells us everything. So they are open to making sure that you know where it comes from. I don't think there's I don't think there's anybody else out there that tells you where it comes from. So think about that. So lemon. So we've talked about lemon, we've talked about breathe, we've talked about for respiratory support, we've talked about aroma touch for aches and pains. What about like bee stings, things like that? That happens consistently in this right now, because depending on where you live and depending on what your weather is like, are you dry and they are confused because it's too green? I don't know. Anyway, you never know where you're going to get stung. I got stung, and I just happened to lean on something and I didn't look first, and gee, there was a wasp there. So guess what happened? And I'm like, I'm semi-allergic to them, and I do not carry an EpiPen, and because I haven't been that bad, okay? But I have had, in the past, I have had an allergic reaction. So I'm like, okay, what do you do? What do you do? And I'm like, okay, the first thing I know, because I teach this, right? So the first thing I go to is lavender. I'm with my horses and by our stalls, and I'm like, okay, I have their emergency kit. I have everything I would use on my horses down there. So I went and got lavender and put it right on there. And you know what? Totally took the sting away. And I was totally, I still to this day I get amazed by what happens when I put an essential oil on. They are my medicine. Now, granted, later I finished what I was doing, and a couple hours later I came up and I reapplied lavender, but I also put peppermint on this time because it was hot. Okay, and I was starting to get all that redness, which is an allergic reaction, right? The next day, I did that, by the way. I applied lavender and peppermint every couple hours until I went to bed. And when I got up the next morning, I had no burn. I mean, it didn't hurt. It didn't sting. This redness didn't spread. Nothing like that. So I was pretty good. And by the following day, you really didn't know I got stung. So what do you have in your emergency kit? Or what do you just have around the house? But here's another one. So lavender is just knowing what you can do. So lavender is like the Swiss Army knife. Okay, it is good for all kinds of things. It's good for calming. It's good for burns. It's really good for burns. It helps in eliminating that when you burn your skin, it's the under layers that keep burning. You can put all the water on you want, but that's not going to keep those layers from burning. So lavender is really good for that. Lavender is good for that calming, okay, getting everything down. It's good to help you speech. You can put it on your throat for speech. But lavender, like I said, for wounds, it's great for that as well. Another one to think about is clove. Clove is really good for bee stings or any kind of insect bites. It's really good for the skin when it comes to infections. Okay, it helps draw out infections. For dental issues, it's a beautiful oil for that. Especially if you have a toothache. Put some clove, a little bit of clove, not on the tooth, but on the tissue right under the tooth that hurts you. You'll be amazed. But bee stings, there again, because clove is a numbing. It's a very hot oil too. So if you have very sensitive skin, you may want to consider putting it with a carrier oil. What's a carrier oil? Carrier oil is just, we like fractionated coconut oil because it soaks into the skin very quickly, and it also has no fragrance to it. So if you want to smell the essential oils, use fractionated coconut oil. Great way to do that. So clove is another one of those that, bring it into your arsenal because it's great for that. Digest Zen. What is that? So doTERRA's blend of Digest Zen is digest and then Z-E-N. So Digest Zen. Okay. There's several different products of Digest Zen. There's an oil. There's also a tablet that you can get. There is also a soft gel that you can get. So those are for tummy issues, okay, basically. Anything related to the digestive system. I mean, anything, whether that's, coming out bad on the other end, or you have a little upset stomach, you can either apply it topically. If you got the soft gels, you can take them internally. There's different options if you are wanting the Digest Zen, but if you're wanting it for this, okay, then you're going to get the oil and you're going to put some in here because it doesn't take much and you can just rub it on topically. Unless you got the capsule, the tablets are awesome. Frankincense. What is frankincense? So frankincense is good for everything too. That's like we said, I said lavender is like the Swiss Army knife. That's great because it comes with it. I mean, you're not sure, just put lavender on it. Most people don't have a problem. Now, but lavender is and can be, if you feel you have an allergy to lavender, please don't use lavender, okay? The likelihoods that you will have a reaction to it are pretty slim, but this up here, the brain, is the one that says, hey, I don't like that because you are going to have a reaction to that. And so it really is it is true to your brain that you can't use it, okay? It creates a response, and so don't use that. So frankincense is another option to that. Frankincense is good for everything across the board too. When in doubt, use frankincense. And frankincense is really good for any kind of wounds. And if you've got any kind of infection going on, frankincense is something that can help with that. And excuse me. Then we have melaleuca. Melaleuca is the highest antibacterial you can get. Or the other name of it is tea tree oil. Okay, that is an awesome essential oil. It's another one that helps with wounds and those kinds of things. Now, some people, if you put melaleuca on straight on a wound, it will burn. Okay, please be mindful of that. You gotta know if you need a little bottle or a little bottle like this with some coconut oil or some kind of carrier oil, so that you have it, so if you do have some sensitivity. And if you do put some on and you do have, just put some carrier oil over that. You might have to do that several times to get it from that sensitive state, okay? So melaleuca, really good. On Guard. On Guard is another blend from doTERRA. Wild orange, cinnamon. Okay, so cinnamon. What does cinnamon do? Cinnamon helps reduce blood sugars. You know that. Okay, that's a fact. And so think about it. What's in your life? Could that be helpful for you? On Guard is also good for an abscess. It's great for your horses in that way too, if they have an abscess, instead of using bleach. I don't like bleach, never have. But it was the only thing I knew to use, okay? I don't have to use that anymore. And then, we already know about infection is good for that too. Our respiratory issues, immune support is what that's all about, okay? And how often are you going to use it depends on what you got going on. And so On Guard can be helpful as a something to help reduce blood sugars, along with help support the immune system. Peppermint. Peppermint's another one I would consider, because peppermint is like, oh my gosh, how many things can you do with peppermint? A lot. Look it up. It's really interesting. But a few things that peppermint can do for you is reduce if your body temperature is high, it'll help bring your body temperature down. If your body temperature is low, it'll help bring it back up. I know, that sounds kind of kooky, but it does, okay? Whatever it needs, whatever the body is needing. It's good for headaches, but where would you put it for headaches? I'll tell you, if I just lost everything, my thing would be anxiety. I would just go into super panic, right? Most of us are going to do that. I don't know anybody that wouldn't, unless you're just numb from everything. And then I'm probably going to have a headache after all of this, right? So put some on your temples, not right here by the eye. You want to go back here by the hairline, okay? Don't get it in your eyes. And don't get it too close to your eyes, because peppermint and a lot of other essential oils have those fragrant fumes, okay? And so if you expose your eyes to it, your eyes are going to water, okay? And if you get any essential oil in your eyes, don't use water to flush it. Why do I say that? Because water is a driver, for one thing. The other thing is that you want to use either carrier oil, just rub across it, close your eyes and rub across your eyes with the carrier oil. Or milk or yogurt, anything that has a fat soluble in it, because that's what's going to help dissipate that essential oil out of your eyes. If you use water, it's going to drive it in deeper really quickly. And you are going to tear up no matter what, you're going to tear. Okay, just keep your eyes closed as long as you can. Anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes, all that's going to go away and you'll be fine. I promise you won't go blind. Okay, now that promise is through doTERRA essential oils, not somebody else's oils. Okay, because I cannot vouch for them. Because there's too many brands out there, because when doTERRA brought essential oils back into our limelight, then everybody started following suit. And there are so many new essential oil companies that have popped up. It's just unreal. Totally unreal. Everybody wanted to get on the bandwagon. They wanted this, okay? doTERRA, that wasn't their intention. Their intention was to create a potent, pure product that is great for our health and wellness, okay? It was not about the money that they could gain from that, or fame, either one of those, okay? And that's another reason why I like doTERRA, is because of their integrity of their product. What else could we think about? Purify is another one that's really good. Now this is a blend, again, from doTERRA. Purify has citronella in it, okay? And so it kind of has that pine sol aroma to it because of the citronella. It's another one that's a good detoxifier, but for you topically, but it does not mean that you're going to put it in, you're not going to drink this, okay? You're not going to take this particular oil in internally. If you've got some odors going on in your kitchen, then that's a great thing. If you want to diffuse it, it's really good to help eliminate those odors, especially when we cook fish. Fish always tends to give us those extra odors that we don't like. Well, maybe you do like it. I shouldn't vouch for some other people, right? So body odor. How many of you think about that? You can't take a bath or a shower for a couple of days. What do you start smelling like? Especially if it's hot. So there's something that can help with your body odor. And it's another one that's really good for bug bites, okay? And cleaning also. You can also use that for cleaning. So who would have thought, right? Who would have thought about the body odor? Something we tend to forget about. If you're like me, when you get out here into the hot weather, it's like, oh my gosh, it doesn't take long for you to start stinking. So anyway, it's just things to think about, right? But when you start looking at these essential oils and you think about the combinations between all of them, like lemon, lavender, and peppermint, those three together are, and they are easily, they are for seasonal threats. And then I have something, I don't have it here. But seasonal threats are something that you want to think about. But what else can those particular oils do in themselves, right? So when you start combining essential oils, then you start getting other remedies. Because remember, each essential oil individually has like a whole bunch of different things that you can do with them, right? And so when you think about, when you start thinking about adding them together with other essential oils, then that's where you get more. So if we look at lemon, lavender, and peppermint, okay, so here are some other things that lavender will do. And we already know that it's good for, lavender is a calming essential oil. And so you can put it on the bottom of your feet, put a little dab on your pillow, put it on a cotton ball by your pillow so it'll help you sleep. You can use it in your bath water to help you, for that long day that you've had and you want to calm down or just relax so that you can go to bed. Put it in your bath, but put it with some Epsom salt. So you would put about maybe a couple tablespoons of Epsom salt, which by the way is very good for you, very therapeutic, and add a drop or two of lavender on the salt and then put it in your water. It's really great that way. You can, if you've been exposed to the sun too long and you're a little bit over red, that's another thing. If you get yourself either an aloe vera gel, which is really good for sunburn as well, but you add your lavender in that, it's even that much better. Or you can have an unscented lotion that you really love and then put the lavender in there. Now, if you're just putting them on certain spots, it's only going to take 1 or 2 drops. If you're going to do like a whole bottle of it, you can actually dump a 5 ml bottle in a great big tube of lotion and put in lavender and put in some helichrysum. And if you want, you can add some zinc oxide. This is something that you can purchase online or anywhere. The zinc oxide is really good for that SPF. And you blend all that in there with your unscented lotion, and you've got your own sunscreen, okay? And instead of buying commercial that has all the extra names that you can't pronounce, okay? All right, so we already know that it's good for calming. We can apply it to the back of the hands, your feet. What about children? Oh, it's great to put that on their feet because 2 things. It's calming them, so they'll go to sleep. You are getting a connection. They're getting a connection with you, and that's so huge, okay? What else? Oh, how about us women that after we shave our legs, how many of us have that little bit of like, ouch? Lavender is really good for helping calm that. Dry skin's another thing. And if you want, you can use peppermint, by the way, in your scalp to help cool the scalp. And if you have dry scalp. Let's see, what else can we just look at for lavender? So lavender, lemon, and peppermint together. Natural antihistamine. How many of you have ever needed that, especially when you've gone out in the woods and all of a sudden you realize you're against something you shouldn't have? Let's see, we've talked about lemon. Oh, by the way, lemon is really good for removing gum out of hair. How many of you have experienced that? Or if you have one of those whiteboards that you just can't ever seem to get clean after you have written on it so many times, use some lemon. It's really good for that. There's my tidbit for the day. Let's see, what else can we do? Oh, peppermint. What else can peppermint do? You can, like I said, you can add it to your shampoo or your conditioner. It's really good for the hair and the scalp, okay? It actually stimulates the hair follicles. And you can also take peppermint internally, okay? Most peppermints can be internal, but there again, read the label before you ever decide to do that. And it's also good for studying. So if you are going to, if you're getting ready for a test and you're doing your study, diffuse peppermint or just put some on the back of your neck so that you can smell it, okay? And then study. And then when it's time to take your test, put some peppermint on you because it'll help you recall. So that's that memory recall, all right? So that's just a few things. There's a whole lot more, but we don't really have time for that. I could go on forever and ever. Please do your research. Know what it is that you are getting and know what it is that you want in your little keychain, okay? If you are going on the trail with your horse, not only are you going to think about your horse, you're going to think about you, okay? You and your horse. What can both of you use? And or if you've got little ones, what would they need? Are you going to the park to play for the day? Are you going to go out now everybody's out swimming. They're finding water wherever they can go. So where are you going? What do you think you would need? Okay, think about that. I hope you get some information out of this. I hope that you get some education because this is what I want you to do is get the education behind this. This isn't a lot because we can't cover everything in the time that I've allowed for these calls or this education. And so if you have any questions, feel free to get a hold of me anytime. If you ever have something else that you'd like to add into these, I would love to hear from you so that I can let other people know, what experiences you have. And if you'd like to listen in on every Monday, I have these calls. And if you would like to be on my remind system, which is an automatic, you get the link for the live call, and you also get the link for the replay for later. Because I know a lot of you listen to the replay, and I appreciate how you guys listen to it. And every now and then, I still get people that say, hey, I loved whichever one that they listen to, and so that really makes me feel good. Even if I only reach out to one person, that's still a blessing to me, because this truly is a blessing, and these essential oils are a blessing because they haven't changed my life like they have many, many, many others. And I really appreciate the fact that doTERRA has such a great product, and it has allowed me to be on this journey with them. So again, every Monday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific time is when I have this call. If you want on the live links and the replay links, then text the word Heavens Oil at, put the at sign first, so the at Heavens Oil. So HEAVENSOIL, Heavens Oil. Don't forget the at sign because it won't come across otherwise. So I'll be glad to add you in. And I'll be glad to have you on. If there's ever a time when you would like to be a host and want to educate somebody on what you do with essential oils, I'd love to have you on as a guest. And you can tell us your story. So again, thank you for being here, and I appreciate every one of you, and have a great week. Thanks, everyone.